Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Dean Rogers. We've got a special guest for another interview today, Chad Lauer, and can't wait to get into this one. I've known him for a long time. Chad, welcome to the interview, man.
Hey, Dean, nice to talk to you. It's good seeing you today. We have known each other for a while. I was trying to remember how long. I think it was when we first met was probably in like 2014, 2015. I don't even know. 20, somewhere in there, 2016.
That sounds about right. Yeah, I want to say 15, 16 maybe ish.
Yeah.
And
Do you remember
then,
I think we were talking on the phone and you reminded me that we'd already talked before, I think.
is that right?
I think so. Yeah.
That's funny.
I think you were just going to have your first kid at the time.
Oh, dang. Okay. Then, yeah, it would have
When
been
was
right
your,
around 16.
Yeah, and I think you remember you telling me how you were launching your real estate business, I think, and you're also telling me how nervous you were because you're having a kid.
It was probably about me going in doing a new project that I hadn't done before. And
You know what it was?
yeah, probably so.
When did you start your real estate business? I forget.
2013.
Oh, okay. So maybe it wasn't. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's funny, man. I'm looking outside the window, like what's going on over there? It's my chickens trying to dig their way out underneath the fence.
That's awesome. Well, you're in San Diego, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And you're allowed to have chickens?
You are, yeah. You just can't have a rooster in the neighborhood, but chickens are fair game.
Yeah.
I think that's mainly a California thing, like the right to farm, pretty much.
Yeah. Oh, really? Well, in my town, we can have chickens, but you have to have the neighbor's approval, and you're not allowed
Oh,
to have the roosters, but you have to have. I think you have to have them sign off on it or something.
I was about to say you're gonna have to have them sign that off, otherwise
Yeah.
it'd be a he said she said.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. It's so good to catch up with you. I mean, we've got memories going back years and years, including going out to some nightclubs together, busting out some dance moves.
Yeah.
Chad can throw down. I mean, this dude can throw down on the dance floor. He's got some moves. So yeah, man, pleasure to have you. Let's dive right into it. Let's dive into some juicy stuff. So let's kind of start with who Chad is. You know, obviously we're here to talk about real estate. That's how we both met. But how'd you get started in real estate? Because it wasn't your first business, let
Yeah.
alone your first job, you know?
Well, I guess it's really kind of a long story, but I'll keep it short. So, I guess I bought my first house. I was 21 years old, I think, and I was in the car business. And I was living in an apartment, and my cousin was a mortgage broker. He said, "Why don't you buy a house?" And he ended up finding me a house in a really cool old neighborhood that was a fixer upper. This is, I think, in 2001. And I said, "Oh, so I could actually buy a house and it would be cheaper than what I'm paying for my one bedroom apartment." Yeah, it sounds like it might be a good idea. And this house was a nightmare. Like, I mean, horror story. You walk in, the place looked like like a horror movie. I ended up living in the apartment and doing work on the house myself. Wasn't really getting into flipping, but I guess I was. I didn't realize it, but I was. And put a roof on the house. We had to resurface the interior of the house and new furnace and things like that. And I ended up moving into the place and, had it kind of livable, but projects going on for years. But that was kind of my first experience in the house flipping, but not intentionally. So
Doing it on your own house, huh?
yeah, my own house. Yeah, first house was a fixer upper. So then I ended up starting another business and a couple other businesses and got really good at marketing. So did a lot of things to generate a lot of leads. And my business I started back in 2008 during the recession was a gold buying business. We ended up opening up 16 retail stores in 2 different states and had 30 employees within a couple of years. No debt, no loans, just all cash. Just started with a small amount of cash. Started doing a lot of marketing and generating a lot of leads and buying a lot of gold. And I think we did like $10 million our third year in business.
Wowzer.
I got to manage all the marketing for that business. It was like $65,000 a month on the marketing budget. So I got to test everything you could think of: TV ads, newspaper ads, direct mail, radio. We used to do events at the locations and contests and all kinds of things. It was a lot of fun, but ended up kind of having I had a business partner. We had two or three of his friends that wanted to get into our business with us, and that became a nightmare. So in 2013, I got out of the business, took a buyout, wanted to get into real estate investing to invest in rental properties, and ended up going through Fortune Builders, which is, where we met, right?
Yeah.
So went through that program, and so that's kind of how I ended up in real estate investing, because I wanted to buy some rentals and didn't know how to do it.
Weren't you doing like vending machines and stuff like that too?
Yeah, that was my first business. Yeah, so back in 2001 or two, a partner and I bought some gumball machines, and we were both working in a car business, and we bought a bunch of these gumball machines and put them out in locations, and started seeing other people had gumball machines and that weren't filling them. So we would just call them, somebody, find the phone number on the back of the gumball machine, call them up and say, hey, we saw your gumball machine's empty. Would you want to sell them? And how many do you have? And so some people would be like, yeah, we have 20 of them. I want to get rid of them all. So we'd buy them all. And usually we'd buy them for less than what was inside of them. There'd be a bunch of money in them. They'd be empty. We'd get the keys. They'd give us a list of locations. We'd go out and empty them all out, and they were all paid off. And so we kept buying those that way. Ended up with 130 of them. And then one day, a guy called us saying, hey, we saw some of your gumball machines. They're not full. Would you want to sell yours? And so we said, yeah, we'll sell them all. So sold them all to this guy for $13,000, took the $13,000 and got a hold of a manufacturer in China and had them build us 300 brand new gumball machines and shipped them over in a container load and sold them all on eBay before they ever showed up. And we quadrupled our money on the first order, and we ordered more. So we started up a online, basically e-commerce site, started up a website back before, Shopify and all these things were a big thing, but started up a website, did our search engine optimization, tried all kinds of advertising, but we built a multi-million-dollar vending machine distribution business in our early 20s. So 24, 25 years old, I had 10 employees, a warehouse, and distribution in Kansas City and Wichita of full-size vending equipment and gumball machines. So.
Wow. Cool. Yeah, no, one of the things that I've always been impressed about you is just your level of like business acumen. It's, you're not a flashy guy that's walking around, flashing this or that, but you've done a lot of different stuff and managed a lot of different things and had several different businesses. What do you think it is that allowed you to do that at that young of an age? I mean, most people are pretty immature at that age. Did you just grow up around it? Did you just like desire it so much? Do you feel like you were just mature for your age? Like,
no, it was, I don't know, it was maybe a couple of those things, but I think it was mainly that, I kind of had I would say a hard upbringing in a way that, my parents didn't make a lot of money. We oftentimes didn't have what we needed, clothes, food, lights on, things like that. It was always up and down. I think my parents, are pretty good people. There's not they've been through some tough times, right? So, I got out on my own at an early age, and went to college without a dime. I didn't have any money. I had to go get a job to pay for it and make it work. And I was working from 6 a.m. until, I'd get up at 6 a.m, drive to school an hour away, start school at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then work until 9 o'clock at night. School would go till 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I'd go to work after that and work till 9 and then drive back home. So 6 a.m. till 10 at night every day. And that was when I could finally walk in my door. When I'd walk out of the door to when I would walk back in the door and then, get some sleep. So being able to, live on 5 to 6 hours of sleep a night and then work that type of schedule. I mean, I guess I've always just been used to working, even in high school. I was working from the time I get off of work until midnight, or time I get off of school until midnight, and then getting up early and doing that again. So just what I've known to be able to survive. And then, I guess the fear of the lights going off,
Yeah.
And wanting to never have to go into that situation myself. So that, plus I kind of like sales. Like I enjoy it. I think it's a fun game. I like the challenge of building businesses and also of making sales. I just kind of enjoy that. So, I guess it's what I like to do for fun. I used to tell people like, I don't go to work, I go to fun. Like, my business is going to work. It's just, so I do it for fun. So I enjoy it. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, there's a big difference between people who are doing it because they have to and don't really want to, and other people who just like thrive in that environment. Do you think it's because you're really competitive, or it's because you had like the kind of chip on your shoulder? I've talked about this with several other people, like because of your upbringing, you had this chip on your shoulder, like this is the way to get on the other side of that. This is the way to overcome it. This is the way to not live that way.
Yeah, I think part of it was, I don't know if I'd call it a chip on my shoulder, because I think of that in like kind of a negative way where you're like, oh, this is, you've got this, negative thing of like, oh, just, gonna, blah, blah, blah. But, so I think of it kind of like as a way to not, to do it differently, do things differently than the way it was then, and to change things. Right. So, that's pretty much it.
Nice. Okay. So
part of it, I think, out of like survival, just survival.
Yeah.
You get in the fight or flight, and that's just,
you just go.
Yeah, you just go.
Yeah. 100%. Okay. Well, so once you got into real estate, like, did you immediately have success, or did you kind of have to get some bumps and bruises along the way? Like, what was your path to getting in? You joined, you got education. You'd already lived through some stuff, understanding what real estate was like and how to navigate it, but to actually make it a business, how did you get there?
I suppose the first deal I ever tried to buy, a couple of things I tried to do before getting the education, I found out what wholesalers were. I found out you could buy properties wholesale, and I met with a couple, and I looked at a property, and one of them, they were saying, well, it's got an ARV of this, and it's a 4-bedroom house, and it's got this much in repairs. And I was scratching my head saying, okay, you want this much money for it? Yeah, the price sounds good. I think they wanted $25,000 for the house, and I don't remember the numbers. I think they said it was like a $200,000 house, and it was a 4-bedroom house. And then when I walked through it, I'm like, okay, they're saying it doesn't need a roof, but I can see the sky. How does it not need a roof? I'm like, these numbers must be off, because seriously, there was a live possum in the house and fleas, and you could see the sky from one of the rooms. But they said it was a $25,000 rehab budget. I'm like, wait a minute. So I gotta either I don't know anything about construction and numbers, or this is wrong, or both. I don't know. I probably don't know enough, but I also know that this isn't right. And so I end up bringing a contractor back to the house, and I'd already put down a $5,000 deposit. The wholesaler didn't want me to bring a contractor to look at it, but when I did, I got an $80,000 bid, and I said, oh boy. That's not quite what it was supposed to be. And also, it was a 3-bedroom house, not a 4-bedroom house. They were counting some kind of a back room as a bedroom, which wasn't. So that was kind of my first experience really trying to buy a house that I wanted to fix and flip, or I think I was going to try to fix and flip it. And then ended up being that those wholesalers were actually Fortune Builders members. And they said, well, you probably need to go get some education. And so it turned a bad situation into like, well, they're referring me to go on and talk to these Fortune Builders people, so.
Okay.
Yeah. So, along the way, lots of bumps, I'm sure. Yeah.
So what'd you start with? You started with flipping, right?
Yeah. My intention was just to get rental properties, but then I ended up turning into buying more, getting into more of the, a couple wholesales, and then doing some fix and flips first.
Okay. And then you started growing your rental portfolio too, right?
Yep. Started buying some rentals. Yep.
Okay. And did you are you still buying rentals? You still buying flips?
Yeah, a few here and there. Yeah, not as many as I was, but I've slowed it down a little bit. And
because we used to both be cranking on the flips.
Yeah.
Because we got to the point where we realized we were doing too many flips, right? Too many flips, law of diminishing return. What's your sweet spot from doing a flip?
Yeah, so I had as many as 12 going at a time, and that was kind of a bit of a nightmare. But I think probably 5 at a time is somewhere between 3 and 5 at a time is a much better number. So it's much less stressful, easier to manage. Yeah. So what I found was when I had 12 going simultaneously, I ended up with, when one contractor situation turned bad, and if they're on multiple properties, that became a bit of a nightmare. So juggling between finding someone to take over for them, and then getting a contractor out of multiple properties to replace them. That was pretty stressful. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the interesting things about flipping properties is dealing with the contractors, right? Some of them can be good
Mhm.
and be good for a long time. Some of them can be really good and only for a couple projects, and then just out of nowhere, just all their quality, their performance, their workers, everything just like goes to crap, you know? So it's one of those things you have to consistently babysit and watch and keep a close eye on, because that's where you can get hung up on a project is work stopping, kind of the money bleeding, and the work the money you spent on a contractor, now you got to almost re-spend it on another one. It can get pretty messy.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've had a few situations where I've had a contractor, and I think the hardest one for me to keep working with is a tile guy for some reason. I've had terrible time with tile guys and painters. Those two are the hardest ones for me. Roofers and plumbers and electricians. Those I've had several of those that have done many projects, and have a wood floor guy who's done probably 30 or 40 houses for me. And some of the guys, I kind of like the idea of, instead of hiring the GC and letting them manage everything, I like to sub it out, and be the GC myself. So that way,
Yeah.
if the tile guy isn't working out, I don't have to fire the GC. I can just let the tile guy go and get a new tile guy, and everyone else keeps working.
Right. Yeah, it's one of those things you got to kind of feel out what makes the most sense for you. We've done all the above, where we manage the projects ourselves and hire out all the different subcontractors, and then have a GC. And I got to admit, I do like a GC when they do a good job, right? I'm willing to pay a little bit more for a GC rather than babysitting everybody myself. But it can get more expensive, especially if you're trying to run those numbers tight and make sure that you're not running over budget and all that kind of fun, good stuff. So yeah, it can get pretty interesting there.
I ended up actually just getting the license early on. So I had a contractor who told me he was licensed and insured, and I didn't check. That was on my first or second house, I think, first one, I think. And it came down to, we couldn't sell the house, and the agent was telling me that all the feedback was saying that they didn't like the backyard, and the house was on a half-acre lot backed up to a busy street. So we thought, well, the only thing we can do about the backyard is put up a fence, privacy fence, and build a deck, because it didn't really have a deck. So I ended up hiring this guy to build a deck, and he dug the holes for the piers so he could pour the concrete. And he went down to the city to get the permit for them to, they want to come out and inspect the holes, make sure they're deep enough. And he called me and said he couldn't pull a permit. And I said, well, why can't you pull a permit? Well, I don't have a license. I'm like, oh, I thought you did. Okay. Well, now what? They wouldn't let me pull it either, because I was a homeowner with a LLC instead of a owner-occupied homeowner. So I had to go down and take a weekend class to get a license so we could pull a permit and take a test on Monday morning. And we're like in limbo there, because the house was on the market. We had showings active, and we have holes in the backyard that are 3 or 4 feet deep. I'm afraid someone's going to break their ankle. We've got a deck laying in the backyard. I'm afraid the city's going to come by and see it and say, what's going on here? You're doing this work without a permit. And I was so new, I didn't know what was going to happen, but I saw these nightmares, and ended up getting the license and pulling the permit, and he put the deck on.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So I kind of like diving into like what makes a person successful, because everyone's got a different story of what got them there, depending upon what your skill sets and all that kind of stuff is, right? So for you, what do you think it is specifically that, and I think I already know the answer, but I'd be curious to hear what you have to say about it. What's allowed you to be, successful in business? Is it your skills around a team? Is it the marketing side? Is it the sales side? Is it the systems and technology stuff? Is it all of it? What do you think it is that's allowed you to get to where you're at?
I'm curious. Now you made me curious about what you would say, but you'll have to tell me afterwards. So I would say first, I think the things that come up is probably ambition and drive. I would say the sales and negotiation, that I enjoy that. The marketing, I like that. I always have been of the mind of saying, if I have to wake up in the morning and wonder where my next lead is coming from, I don't really want to have to go looking for it. I want them to just be there. I want people calling every day. I want appointments on my calendar. I just want to, and I know that the best way for that is to actually market and advertise and generate those leads that way instead of, going and searching for cold leads. I would say the systems and technology, I'm pretty good at that. I kind of enjoy those things, but I try not to get too deep into that where I'm focusing on things that don't make money, because you can organize yourself out of business,
100%.
And so I think the best approach for a new business, especially, is to get messy. Get out there and do whatever it takes to make sales and do marketing, and ignore some of the organizational things initially, but then clean it up quickly before you get so big of a mess you can't recover from it. So but I think probably the thing that I am not a natural at is probably leadership. I probably, I work on that. I don't always know if I make the right choices when it comes to leading people or managing the team or hiring and firing or things like that, but I get through it. But that takes work for me. So
yeah, no question. Yeah, I'm under the same mindset. Like, marketing is going to be one of the best ways for a business to be successful. If you can do marketing well, even if you're not as good at sales, like, you're still going to have business, and there's so many different pieces of the puzzle that have to come together at the end of the day to stay alive as a business, right? You got to run it well. So it's always interesting to just kind of pick apart, like, what made your business successful. A lot of the stories are going to probably end up around the same, but some people are definitely better at some things than others. And going back to your sales and negotiation, I mean, I know that for sure, because even just at some of the Fortune Builder events that we've been to together, we kind of like would break off and talk about strategies and techniques for negotiating with homeowners, or even negotiating or talking to private lenders, different stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's,
we did that one time, didn't we? We did like a tag team, let's go raise money.
Yeah.
Did you get any business out of that? I remember a few connections.
I wasn't even thinking about that, but yeah, one of the events, you and I said, let's see who can raise the most amount of money. So yeah, no, I raised some money that day. I know you raised some money too.
I remember somebody had 100,000 ish, or somebody had, I don't remember, but I think I don't remember what phase in my business that would have been at that time, but there was a point where my focus was all on raising money, because I had a deal I took to the title company. I had to have 5 lenders to get the deal done, and it was only $150,000 house, something like that.
You had to have 5 what?
Five private lenders, I think I had, or something like that.
Oh my gosh.
I had maybe it was 4. I had a first, I had a second, I had a partnership in third.
Oh my God.
And the title company said, don't ever do that again. So yeah, I made a big focus on raising millions of dollars. Like, I had to have multiple millions of dollars in private money available so I could never have to do that again.
Yeah. No, that's a critical piece to being able to scale, because, onesie twosie lenders here and there, only take you so far. And having a private lender, I think, is better than a hard money lender, because it's more flexible, right? Some of my private lenders, I won't even call. I'll just text them and say, hey, I got another one. It's 150K, 200K. We're closing whatever day. They're like, all right, just connect me with escrow.
Yeah. That reminds me of so a thing I did for my business. I use a back-end automation for it's a CRM we use for our transaction process. And I set up a push button private lender system. So we have like 10 private lenders we have relationships in there with. And there's a templated email that goes out with deal points. And I remember one deal we had, it was a $500,000 house. I pushed the button to send our deal points to all the private lenders, and we had the deal funded in 11 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
Pretty cool. Because I used to stress out a lot about raising the money. Like, if you have to pick up the phone, or you have to, manually do all this stuff and think about it and put a lot of mental energy into where the money's going to come from. And then you start, well, what if I can't get the money before the closing, well, that went away with that. You didn't have to worry about all that.
Yeah. That's wild. So that's one thing I've noticed since the beginning is you love to tinker around and make different systems and processes. And it definitely seems to be one of your superpowers. So tell me more about that. Is that just something you've always been like technically good at, or you just learned it out of necessity, or what do you think?
Well, I mean, in business, okay, if there's something that you do more than once and you don't need to do it, then you're wasting your time. So it's either there's three things you should consider in your business. Should I delegate it? Should I automate it? Or should I eliminate it? Because if you automate or delegate something you should eliminate, then you're wasting someone else's time, or you're putting resources into a process that shouldn't be wasted in,
I
automating.
like that. I like that. So should I automate it? Should I delegate it or eliminate it?
Yes. Yes.
That's good. That's
So
sexy.
there's no reason to delegate something you can automate if it's something that is thoughtless, like raising money is kind of thoughtless. If you have the relationships already set up and you just need to give them certain piece of information, that can be automated. You don't need to task an assistant, and you can also eliminate mistakes. Some things you delegate, you get mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. I like that. Okay. So tell me, I know beyond business, one of the things that's interesting about you, you've got some unique hobbies. So tell me about some of the ones you got going on.
Well,
See if you have any new ones.
yeah, I got a new one here. I actually have an accident today. So my dad, when I was 5 years old, my dad got me into flying model airplanes. I've never been a big airplane guy. I mean, it's not like I'm crazy about airplanes. I guess I do like them.
I mean, you got them in your office.
Yeah, I got one in my office, don't I? Well, I was flying this earlier today, and I wanted to buy one I could fly in my driveway and not have to go to we have a flying field I go to where you have to, it takes me 30 minutes to go there and back. And so I want to be able just to get up in the morning, go out in the driveway, fly the plane around a little bit, and then come in and work and not have to go be on for the half the day. So I ended up crashing it in the neighbor's tree. But this is it's a remote controlled RC plane. So my dad got me into flying these things. Like when I was about 5, he'd hand me his transmitter, have his airplane up in the sky, 500 feet up in the air, and teach me how to fly it. And it's something I've done off and on. And I started doing it more recently with my dad because he's like like I'm not like he is. He's a airplane. Like that's the one thing, like airplanes on the brain. Like he is all about it. And my grandpa was a pilot. My uncle soloed a plane when he was 16, and my dad has always been into the model plane. So then I ended up getting my pilot's license for some reason, I guess just because everyone else is into it. So take my dad flying once in a while. And, on the weekends, we'll go fly RC planes at the flying field. And we've got a variety of them we fly. But yeah, it's one of the things, I guess.
That's cool. Yeah. I remember when we first met, were you just getting your pilot's license at the time?
I got it in 2010.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's either you were already doing it or you were like getting back into it or something. I can't remember which one it was, but that was something you did. I think the next couple years, kind of as a networking event, you had taken some other investors on some plane rides to go like through the Grand Canyon and stuff like that. It's kind of a cool networking event. So what made you come up with that idea?
I don't remember. I guess I guess I do know. So there's a guy that I know, and he owns a pilot center in Vegas. And I'm not a big Vegas person. I don't want to go to the Strip, or I'll go to the clubs with you guys, but just because you guys are going mainly. I'm not like a big. I'd rather be out in nature or doing something fun. And so I figured, well, what's more fun than like going and renting a plane and go flying like Zion National Park or something. So, it was so much fun. Like we rented a plane that goes about.
Did you end up going to Zion?
Yeah. We flew through Zion. Like we flew down through the canyon at Zion.
No, you didn't. Is that even legal?
It's not illegal. Yeah, but it's frowned upon, I suppose. Yeah. Yeah. And there's another place we flew from Vegas. There's like a highway. I don't know what it is, but there's a highway that goes all the way up to Zion, and there's mountains on both sides. So we were flying the highway in the canyon between the mountains. Like wingtips are pointing at mountains. Like it's pretty fun. It was a blast. But my friend owns a pilot center in Vegas, and so we rented a plane with him, and he had an instructor go with us, and just took plane rides one day, 4 or 5 of them, something like that.
Yeah, that's super cool, man. I gotta get on one of those with you.
Yeah.
You still flying to this day, right?
Yeah. I don't fly as much as I used to. Last time I flew, I actually flew a jet though. So that was pretty fun. I
Oh,
got to
you flew a jet?
take off and land the jet. Yeah.
Dang, does that feel a lot different?
Not really. It was probably smoother, but the jet I flew was just a little bigger than the planes I'm used to flying, and same brand. So I know Tony.
Mhm.
Tony flies the Cirrus SR-22, and that's what I used to own, and that's what we flew in Vegas. And then the guy that I know out in Vegas that has the pilot center, his pilot center is a Cirrus training center and a Cirrus sales center. So they had a Cirrus Vision jet, which is basically the Cirrus SR-22 is a trainer for, it's like a jet trainer. So your next step up would be flying their jet. So it's not that much different. It's a little bit bigger. It's faster, but it's fairly familiar. Most it kind of feels like you're flying the same
Okay.
plane, just smoother. Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. Um, all right. So next thing I wanted to get into is kind of where you've come out of doing all these deals, all this real estate. You've pretty much done all different type of real estate transactions you can do. And I know a couple of years ago, I remember just watching you on social media and seeing some of the success you were having with coaching.
Yeah.
So for me, that was really cool to watch because you've always been like a generous person. You've always been helpful and kind of a go-giving kind of person. So it was cool to kind of watch you take some people under your wing and go out on appointments with them and help them get contracts signed and, stand there with the check, so to speak, like, hey, I helped Bob over here get this deal done. So what has that been like for you going through that whole journey?
Well, I guess I kind of fell into that by mistake or accident. I don't know if it's not really by mistake. I mean, on accident, not on purpose. So, I mean, initially it was, I think around the time, I remember doing a call with you actually and helping you did I help you get your first direct mail campaign going or something or no?
No, I've been doing direct mail since 2013.
Okay.
But you and I have done some calls cranking through, talking about how I'm doing something, how you're doing
Yeah.
something,
Okay.
and kind of helping tweak some stuff together.
Maybe it's just like in the mix there because I started doing some calls with some different investors maybe back in 15 or 16. I just had so many people like asking for help because I would share my deals and I would kind of show the volume I was doing at the time. And a lot of people were kind of struggling saying, well, we've been through the same training. Why are you getting deals and I'm not? And it was like, well, because I'm doing this kind of marketing and that kind of marketing and I'm just like stacking it on top of each other, doing multiple layers of it together. And and so I started showing different people how to set their marketing up because a lot of people are afraid of it. A lot of people they either think it's a waste of money or they're afraid that they'll do it wrong or they just never done it before and don't have any idea where to begin. And it's overwhelming and there's a lot of fear. So
Yeah.
because they're basically putting money out there hoping something's going to come back and not knowing if it will. And a lot of people screw it up. But so so I started helping people just kind of like, hey, let me get on a call, show you what I'm doing. If you can, I can help you try to reproduce it and then good luck to you basically. And I don't know, help maybe 40 people do it that way. And then a few years went by and I wanted to I realized there was a big demand for like helping people in that way. So I wanted to put together something that was more organized versus a Sunday afternoon winging it type of a phone call, 30-minute call and hope they do well, so yeah, I started in my local market as well, well, actually, here's the story. Okay. So when I was in that phase of like trying to find my millions of dollars of private money, one guy I remembered, like when I went to one of my first networking meetings, I met with a guy, an older guy, looked like a grouchy old guy to me, white-haired old guy, ended up being the nicest guy ever. But he's like, hey, Chad, I have money. I don't have deals. If you ever get deals, let me know. I've got money. I'm like, okay, but I'm afraid to let you fund my deals or put your money in my deals because I don't know what I'm doing, So that was when I was super brand new, probably 13 or 14. I met the guy at a local networking event. And then after I learned how to really raise money and put it into some deals, and I'd done some flips, a couple of flips on my own with some of my own money, and I realized I could successfully get in a deal and out of a deal without losing money, then I was ready to risk someone else's money. So I had a deal that was on a golf course, and the seller wanted $200,000 for the house. and I didn't have $200,000 available to put in. So I said, well, I need to find somebody who's got money. And I thought, well, I remember this guy from that meeting saying he had money. So I called him over to meet with me. And he said he really didn't want to be a lender, but he wanted to like put money in his own deals. I said, or be partners. I said, well, I don't really want to be partners, but why don't I do this? I'll teach you how to get your own deals and how I do the marketing if you let me put your money into my deals while you're learning. And so he became one of my best lenders, had over $1 million net worth, a couple $1 million liquid, and started funding all my deals for me. So that was kind of like my first local mentorship, I guess, opportunity there. And guy's like in his 80s and has flipped a bunch of houses, and now he just solely does private lending. So I took him from not wanting to be a private lender to now he does that for like, to build his wealth.
Yeah.
Doesn't really want to flip houses anymore. So,
so how much work it was?
Yeah. He kind of got tired of dealing with the contractors. He likes the part of going in and negotiating with sellers and buying the house, making the deal, but doesn't really like managing the contractors. So he's gotten to where he'd rather let someone else go out and do all the rehabs and him just fund it. And he says he makes just about the same amount of money or more as he does when he's actually flipping the house. So
of course.
Yeah. So, yeah, but I think so far I've probably got a couple, probably 150 students in my new program that's more organized, and we've got some big results. Lately, we've been getting a lot of $100,000 checks somehow. I don't know how, but a lot of our members have been getting 100,000 plus checks, and that's used to be when I'd bring someone in, they might get a $30,000 or $40,000 check on their first deal, which I thought was still pretty good. But now we're seeing some of the first deals being $100,000 checks.
Are those coming from wholesale deals or flips or?
Mostly flips, but we have seen some big checks on some of the as-is stuff as well.
Yeah, those are monster deals, man. That's cool.
Yeah.
So has that turned like into a passion project for you? I mean, obviously to have people getting success like that, it's a ton of work to do coaching. I mean, I know firsthand because I'm embarking on that journey myself and have, a number of students already signed up and really at the infancy stage, but you've been doing it for a while now and have a lot of people that you've helped. So, so where do you see that going?
Well, I'll tell you this. I think the coaching it's probably the most difficult thing I've ever done in business. Like it's not difficult. Like coaching people and mentoring them isn't that hard. And the thing that's hard about that is the fear that you're going to bring someone in and they're going to fail and then it's your fault somehow. That's the biggest thing that in the beginning I was like, well, what if I bring in 20 people and none of them get any success and they all think I'm a terrible person? Well, that didn't happen. So luckily, thankful of that. But getting over that side was hard initially, but then it's the systems like this business, like this, to have a successful online coaching and mentorship business. There's a lot of technology, a lot of systems, a lot of softwares. Like I probably have, more software expense going out in a month than a lot of people's house payment. Like there's so much you invest in systems and technology to make it all work, and to provide a good experience for your members. So that's one thing. The sales side of it is challenging. The marketing's challenging. It's all really challenging. Like, we used to be able to run Facebook ads and say whatever you want. Now, if you mention the word house in your Facebook ad, you might get your account shut down.
No kidding.
Yeah. So to be able to, and if you do it another way, when it comes to running those Facebook ads, then you might not be able to target anyone. Like you might not be able to run any, like you might not be able to do any sort of targeting because they have anti-discrimination laws. And when you're doing real estate coaching, they lump you into something called a special ads housing category, which means that you're basically selling houses, but we're not selling houses, we're selling education. So it's tricky, really tricky.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that's all part of business, is figuring out how to work around all the different things that come up in your way, whether it's some rule or law or just person, right, that you got to kind of work through and overcome. So that's all part of the fun. Well, cool, man. Let me kind of end with just kind of what you're most excited about. Like what are you working on right now or want to be working on? Like, what are you most excited about kind of in your future?
I would say, I guess, I mean, I'm definitely excited about scaling the mentorship and coaching side of things, helping more people achieve their dreams and goals. And that's become one of the things that I'm focusing more on now. It's like, as I'm building my team and growing that, I've got a international team now of people working for me. So in multiple countries, kind of interesting. Never had that exactly going on before. But to really focus on what are their goals and what are their dreams and make their dreams come true. So then, my dreams are just the byproduct, right?
Yeah.
And I want to build and grow my passive income side of things more. So I'm not so much focusing on like buying and flipping a house to make a $60,000 or $100,000 check. I'd rather have, if I could go back and keep every house I ever bought, I would.
Right.
Because of like I'm sure you've done the same thing. Have you ever done the math and looked at, well, this house I bought 2 years ago and it was, we sold it for this, but now it's worth double or whatever. You're like, dang, do that times, 100 or however many, and that's a lot of money you left behind. So, but so I want to focus more, and I also am looking into getting more in the commercial side and doing some commercial deals and some multifamily stuff, because I'd like to transition into more of the places where you seem a lot of real estate investors like to evolve to. Seems like everyone kind of starts in the wholesaling, or some do wholesaling, then you get into flipping, then you get into rentals, and then you're like, well, now what? Private lending, commercial, multifamily.
Yep. All those things. Yeah, those are all kind of things on the horizon for me too. I've got a lending company I just started with my dad, and we've got some additional people who are going to kind of be coming into the mix here to make it pretty fun and interesting, and a lot more capital available. And then we want to get storage units.
Yeah.
So that's something that we want to do this year. So yeah,
Are you going to be doing like kind of like a hard money lender? Is that what it is, or kind of private lending, or?
Exactly. Private lending.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So it's going to get pretty fun. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities just within like my close circle of trusted friends and investors that keep most of that money active. And then there's other deals like larger multifamily or commercial deals within the same kind of circle of people that I know are doing them, to where they need $1 million, $2 million, whatever, come in as an equity partner. It's like, all right, cool. Let's do this.
Sounds good.
So it should be pretty fun. Well, awesome, man. There's so many good, juicy stuff we could dive into more, but I know we're running up against a time block here. So just want to thank you for coming on, man. Really appreciate you. We've been friends for years now, and it's been fun to watch you grow, and just appreciate your time on today's interview.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I feel the same way. So yeah, it's good connecting, and we'll have to catch up again soon. And I'll definitely invite you over to swap the situation here and do the interview for you.
Yeah, let's do it. How can people get a hold of you, man?
Oh yeah, so I have a Facebook group. It's 7-Figure Real Estate Investors, and you can just look that up, or my website's chadlauer.com. So either one of those would be great. Just reach out on social media, send me a PM, or go check out my website.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed the interview. Until next time, peace.
All right, thanks a lot. See ya.